Hey, what's up guys, Alex here. Thank you for checking this video and welcome to the episode number 49 of the series of tutorial on how to build a premium theme for WordPress. Welcome again. In this tutorial we're gonna continue our work on the sidebar. So right now we have basically to style all the widgets that we have in the sidebar. We have to create the scrollable options. We have to block the scrollable option of the index because if we have the sidebar open, I don't want to scroll also the body content, and plus we have to print our custom information, our custom header that we defined in the sunset option administration panel. So first thing first, let's print all the information that we already have. So first let's access our administration panel, and in the sunset sidebar admin option, you will notice that in previous lessons we already created this section. So the easiest thing to do is just access this code and copy paste it in our sidebar, and it's gonna be really simple to handle. Let's access our ink folder. Inside the templates part, we have the sunset admin, where we handle the first page of our administration option, and you will notice here we have the sunset sidebar preview option, sunset sidebar image container, all this kind of good stuff. Basically what we have to do, we have to copy these things and also the declaration of these options. So let's do that. Let's open the file sidebar.php where we are printing our dynamic sidebar. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna start creating and seeing how to create a custom widget for us, because what we want, it's actually the administration panel in the appearance widget section, a custom widget here with sunset information that the user can drag and drop and put wherever he wants in this sunset sidebar section. Let's access our editor, and inside the ink folder, let's create a new file called widgets.php. Let's access our functions.php in our base folder, and let's include also this file. Let's require it by duplicating the last line and just including the widgets.php file. We can close the functions.php and the sidebar, we don't need this, and let's open the widgets.php. In order to create a widget, we have to use a class of WordPress that works pretty much really similar to the default class of the Walker nav to edit the menu or the structure that WordPress prints for whatever menu we define. To use this class, of course, we have to start our PHP tags. Let's copy package sunset to have all the headers pretty much identical, and let's change this title to widget class. Here we have to create a class in PHP that is part of the object-oriented programming, the type of programming that is not procedural. But if you don't know anything about classes and difference between object-oriented programming and procedural programming, don't worry. It's like you don't need to know this stuff in order to follow this tutorial. Let's follow along with me, and we're gonna take care of everything without getting confused. So first we have to declare a custom name for our class. In my case, it's gonna be sunset profile widget, and maybe all upper cases. I want to keep it consistent. You can call these whatever you want. You can give it your name, you can give it like my custom widget, whatever, it doesn't matter. What you cannot change, it's what this class is gonna extend from the default library of WordPress. So we have to write extends to access a default class of WordPress, and the default class is WP, all uppercase, widget. Open and close the curly brackets. So now we have this new class that we declare that is extending the default widget class of WordPress in order for us to create our custom widgets. Let's write a little bit of comments, and here we're gonna use this section to set up the widget name. description, etc. All the stuff that we want. So now we have to declare a public function, and the public function name is gonna be underscore, so double underscore, construct, open and close the simple brackets, open and close the curly brackets, and let's go in another line. This public function construct is a pseudo function that we don't call, we don't declare. In fact, this type of function, as you can see, doesn't have any name, so we cannot call this function, but this construct is gonna get executed as soon as we call this class. So if we call this class, whatever things we have inside this function is gonna get executed immediately without us doing anything, without us calling whatever function we want. So we use in object-oriented programming a construct type of function inside a class to automatically execute something really important that we need at the beginning of the declaration of whatever class. In this construct, so what we have to build in order to use this class, we need to declare a bunch of widget options. So let's create a variable called widget underscore ops that stands for widget options. You can call this variable however you want. And this variable, it's actually an array. Inside the array, I wanna declare the class name, and my class is gonna be equal to sunset hyphen profile hyphen widget. As you can see here, this name is pretty much identical to the class name. This is not made on purpose. It's just like because I want to maintain this thing. You don't have to maintain the same name. Absolutely, you can give this class whatever you want, because like custom class, or you can also use custom class, something like that. You're not forced to use the same class name of the PHP class, but you can use whatever CSS class name you want. The other attribute that I have to declare in this array is the description. So we have to identify what this widget is about, and this is the custom sunset profile widget. So we're gonna know that this widget prints the sunset profile information that we have in our administration area. Let's have a comma at the end. Let's put a semicolon after the close of the bracket of the array. And then here we have to declare a parent column underscore construct. And then here we can declare the ID of our widget, the name of the widget, and then pass the variable. So the first, the name of the widget or the ID of the widget is gonna be sunset underscore profile, and then the name of the widget, the one that is gonna appear in the widget section, is sunset profile. And then the declaration of all the options of this widget is the actual array variable that we have to pass here. So this parent construct is packaging all these options that need to be triggered by default whenever a function is calling this class. So before declaring everything else, what we have to do, we can, right after the declaration of the class, we have to create an action like add action, and the action is, in the single quotes, widgets underscore init. So the action is getting triggered during the initialization of the widgets area, and to call this class we have to put comma and open a function, simple brackets, curly brackets, and we have to use the function register underscore widget. And inside the register widget, we have to declare the name of our custom class. That in this case is sunset profile widget. Semicolon at the end. Let's save it. Let's go back in our front end or in our back end. Let's click appearance again, and we have an error on line 28 because we didn't declare the semicolon at the end. Save it. Refresh again. And now if we go into widgets area, you're gonna notice we have a newly generated widget called sunset profile. Of course, because we just, in our code, we just declare the class and the sunset profile widget description. What we're gonna have, it's basically just the title, sunset profile, and the sunset, custom sunset profile widget description. If we drag and drop it in the sidebar, there are no options for this widget because we don't have anything here. So what we have to do now that in our code, we generated a custom class. We generated the action to trigger the custom class during the widget's initialization. And with our default construct function, we declare the basic information. So the ID, the name, the class name, and the description of this widget. Now inside this class, we can declare other functions in order to customize the experience of this widget. So the function that we can use are pretty much three. The first function is the function that handles the front end of this widget. So what gets printed inside the sidebar in the front end. The second function handles what gets printed in the back end of the widget, so inside the appearance widgets area. And the third function is what handles the save and update of the widget. So in case we have some specific option, like some specific number, custom form or something, every time we click, for example, here we have the categories, the only options that we have are the title and the show post. Every time we click save, this click is going to trigger the third type of function that handles the update of all the custom variables. Let's call and let's create the first function to display the front end. So let's create a comment and let's write front end display of widget. And let's create the public function called simply widget. This is a default function of WordPress inside the WP widget class. So we don't have to call this function because this is a default one. And WordPress knows that if we have something declared here, it's what he needs to use to print our information in the front end. We have to pass a couple of variables, a couple of declarations. First are all the arguments that are inside are being declared inside our widget. The second one is the instance type of the widget. So every time we have a widget has gonna be a unique instance because, as you know, you can put as many widgets as you want here. We could also potentially have 3 times the categories widget. So we can have the same widget multiple times, and we have to remember that an option of a specific widget can be different from the option to the same widget but repeated later in the sidebar. So if we have the same widget 3 times, maybe we have 3 different options. We don't have the same. So this instance is gonna carry all the options to that specific single widget instance. It's gonna change based on how many widgets we used. Let's open and close the brackets. And for now, let's skip this section because I want to take care of the backend section of my widget. So let's go back up here. Let's create another comment section and let's call backend display, display of widget. And let's create again a public function called form. And WordPress handles the backend as a form. So this function is called form, even if it's not the most intuitive thing ever. That's how WordPress handles it. So sorry about that. And the only thing that we have to pass here is the instance of our form. So let's open and close here. And basically here we can return, or we can print or echo all the information that we want, or we can echo all the HTML, whatever structure we want to declare fields, custom fields and stuff. The only thing that I want to return in this section is a message to say, hey, this specific widget can be managed by this admin section. So the sunset admin page allocat section. So what I want to do, I want to basically, I have an error here because I didn't finish to write the code, but no worries. I'm gonna copy this. Let's go back. And then in the backend, I'm gonna simply echo a message call in the paragraph tags. No options for this widget. And then another paragraph. You can control the fields of this widget from this page. And let's put an href, href, and let's print my custom page. And let's close the a tag. Let's save it. Semicolon at the end. Let's save it. Let's return nothing for now. Let's go back in our front end or back end. Let's refresh. Now, if we drag and drop the sunset profile widget, we're gonna have no options for this widget. You can control the fields of this widget from this page. If we click, we're gonna get redirected to the Alicat sunset because I input that specific unique code. So if we go back here, you will see all this stuff. We can simply actually do something like that. Let's remove this stuff. I don't want to have double paragraph, but I want to have these as a line break, and then I want to embed, I want to wrap this stuff around a strong HTML markup. So this is going to be bold, and then we're going to have everything on 2 lines. Sunset profile. No options for this widget. You can control the fields of this widget from this page. Let's save. Nothing happens because we don't have to save anything. For now, that's what we're gonna do for the backend of this widget. Of course, in the future, we're gonna create other widgets with some custom options to update this stuff. Now we have to take care of the widget frontend, because if we save this and we access the frontend again, we refresh, we open the sidebar, here there's nothing. Let's inspect the element and let's access the sidebar. Inside the sidebar scroll, that's the sidebar secondary. We have category, recent comments, and tag clouds. Even if we have our custom widget in the backend, we don't have anything in the frontend because our frontend widget public function is returning null. So just as a test, we can simply echo frontend. Let's save it. Let's go back in our frontend. Let's refresh. Actually, this is annoying because we are editing the sidebar. Let's remove for now. Let's cut this class here and let's keep it saved here, but as a comment, because I don't want to use it now. Because I'm editing the sidebar, I want the sidebar constantly open. So let's refresh. Now it's going to be open, and look what we have here, front end. Basically, we're printing whatever thing we decided to print in our section. And of course, here we don't have anything. We don't have the section. We don't have the ID of our widget. We don't have the class of our widget. All this stuff we have to take care of manually creating. But not really, we can do it dynamically. So first, let's remove this echo, we don't need it. First, what we have to print are the default declaration of the widget. And the widget has these arguments variable that is carrying the default declaration. A default declaration is basically how the widget is structured. So if the widget has a section with an ID and a class that we actually declare here, the class and the ID, automatically the widget should maintain this structure and whatever we declare in our widget declaration when we activated the sidebar. So in order to print dynamically this stuff, we have to simply, absolutely simply echo the arguments. And the arguments is an array, so we have to access the value in the array with the square brackets of the before underscore widget attribute. And after that, we have to echo again, always args, square brackets, the after widget attribute. So before widget and after widget attribute of the arguments array dynamically passed are gonna contain these section stuff that we declare dynamically. If we access again, look what we have here. We have the ID sunset profile. In this case is 3 because we add the we use that widget 3 times, so it's a random number that WordPress adds to our widget. And we have this custom class, the sunset profile widget, that we declare in our declaration. Why we have section ID and sunset widget class? Because we declared when we created the sidebar in our ink folder inside the theme support option, we created the sidebar with the register sidebar, and look what we declare here: the before widget, the after widget, the before title and after title. And as you notice, in order to print the widget, we are printing the before widget and after widget that are identical to this section with the sunset widget class and whatever custom ID and custom class we declare. So all this stuff that we declare in the sidebar are accessible in whatever custom widget within these arguments. And this is pretty amazing. So we can keep the consistency of our widgets and manage the HTML structure, always everything within the theme support option inside the register sidebar. Now what we have to do here, we have to simply copy paste all this stuff that we already declared and we already created in our admin section. So let's go back in our ink folder. Let's open the templates part, and the sunset admin.php is the file that we used to manage profile section. So let's copy all these PHP variable, this PHP declaration, and inside the widgets, let's print it everything here. Let's indent properly, and in between the before and after widget, we can simply copy the image container and all this wonderful stuff. Inside widget, let's paste it here. So here you could potentially do a couple of different things. It's not wrong to do it. You can actually interrupt the PHP tag and reopen it after. If you don't want to rewrite this if and print directly HTML inside the class, it's not wrong to do it. Like, it's not the best practice ever to have inline HTML inside a class, inside a function, and interrupt the PHP tags, but WordPress doesn't mind these things. WordPress works with this thing properly, so we can maintain it like that. Let's save it. Let's go back in our front end. Let's refresh. Let's see what's... And this is brutal. As you can see, we have all our information. We have name, description, and maybe a bunch of icons here. We have everything, but nothing in style, because all the style that we have in our backend are inside the class of the backend. And the style of our administration button is inside the CSS, sunset admin.css, all these custom classes that we declared only for the purpose of styling the admin section. So what we can do, we can simply copy all this stuff here for our custom information and paste it inside our sunset.scss down here in the sidebar. And let's make a little bit of admin declared classes. Save it. Let's go back in our front end. Let's refresh. And now we have the same style. Something's missing here. We don't have the icons and it's not properly center aligned. So let's fix everything. First, let's go back in our widgets area. And inside here, let's have a container, div, class, text, center. And let's close the div. Let's go back here, refresh. Now everything is centered. Let's check if we have our icon. So we have the icon wrapper, we have the sunset icon, but we don't have the dash icons because the dash icons are part only of the backend. What we have to do, we have to change the dash icons to use the sunset icon that we have declared in our front end. So let's change this to sunset-icon and sunset Twitter. And then sunset icon, sunset Google Plus, and sunset icon, and then sunset Facebook. Save it. Let's go back in our front end. Let's refresh. And we don't have dash icon before. We didn't change it. Oops, I did it wrong. I updated the sunset admin.php. So let me copy this section, go back. Sorry guys, I did something wrong. Let's go in the widgets section. I was editing the wrong file. And let's update this stuff, indent it properly. Let's save it, refresh. This is Google Plus, I think. Refresh, and there you go. Now we have our custom sunset icons with all our stuff. Here, what we have to do, we have to add some unique link to be clickable and go to these actual social media accounts. So first of all, the Twitter account is a href https ://twitter.com/ and let's print echo the Twitter icon variable, and let's do target blank _blank. So we're gonna force this page to be open in a blank page, and let's close these hey tag. So let's do pretty much exactly the same here. Let's remove something like that. Let's copy all this stuff, and we're gonna change a tag a, and we're closing the a tag. Bum. And let's do the same here for Facebook. That is gonna be facebook.com/Facebook icon. And then the Google Plus, that is the weirdest one, that is gonna be plus.google.com/u/0/plus and then the G plus icon handler. Let's save it. Let's go back in our front end. Let's refresh. And now we have the icon that goes to my Twitter account. Then Facebook that goes to my Facebook account. And then Google Plus that I think it's not a Halicat because it doesn't exist. So I have to update these options. And let's do that like a regular user. Let's click on this page. It's going to go here. And my Google Plus is actually my first and last name. Save changes. Perfect. Let's refresh and we have Google Plus. And that's my Google Plus profile, and that is amazing. So this thing still works. It's amazing. So what we did, we created this custom widget, and if we want to check, we can access the backend and simply go in Appearance, Widgets, open this and delete this widget. If we go back in the front end, refresh, we don't have the widget anymore. If we put it back, just simply drag and dropping, save it. Let's go back here, refresh. Ta-da! We have again these beautiful style widgets with all the options that we had before, and this is amazing. So in this lesson we saw for the first time how to create a custom widget by using the WP widget class of WordPress by extending all the options to control the form and the widget. Of course, we didn't do the last function, that is the update function, that is the one that is necessary to control the updates and all the custom options that we could have in a widget. But we're gonna take care of all this stuff later in this series of tutorial, because we are gonna create a couple of custom widgets for our gallery and maybe for our popular WordPress posts, in order to have a couple of customizable options inside our widgets area. So it's pretty much it for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. And if you want, you can spend a couple of minutes on the support me page on my website, where you can find all different methods and ways to support me, support my channel, and help me to do better videos and better tutorials for you. Thank you again, guys, and until the next lesson, as usual, happy coding!